and then complain that life is unfair, but when you think about it, you really never did anything to change your outcome. As you will see from the title of today's video, we are going to look at 22 life lessons, not all at once today, clearly. We're going to break this up into 3 parts so that you can absorb each set of life lessons as what would be the point otherwise, yes? As I've gotten older, I appreciate the importance of learning, not just participating, not just being present, but learning. And so that's the reason I've deliberately split these 22 life lessons into 3 parts, because there's no rush. So without further ado, let's go. We all have issues, whether or not we want to admit it. But the trick is that some persons do not know how to separate their emotions. I'm sure all of us at some point of our lives have been the recipient of unwarranted backlash, and it was nothing that we did that would have caused that. What is important is for you as an individual to be able to separate your emotions. Do not allow one situation to negatively impact a completely unrelated situation. It's not healthy for you, and it's definitely not healthy for the person on the receiving end. For those of us who are adults, we know that adulting is hard. And now that I have gone through a couple of decades, I realize that my parents, my childhood, involved me seeing my parents grow up. Our parents and our grandparents did not have the self-help books, the Facebook groups, the WhatsApp chats, none of these organizations or networks to help with parenting. So they really did the best that they could. On the other hand, we have access to those networks and groups and books and journals and planners and to-do lists, and sometimes we still mess up. So if your parents are still alive, give them a call. Let them know that you understand now that when you were a child, they were still growing up. This particular lesson is a pet peeve of mine. As an educator, I see where reading needs to happen. And just in general life, guys, it is important to read. I find it kind of ironic that the celebration of a childhood achievement of being able to read eventually morphs into something that's detested by adults. And it may be that we are scarred from the process of schooling, having to read, having to memorize, having to get questions right on our tests or assessments. Possibly that is where a dislike for reading comes into play. But think about it. Reading expands not only your mind, but allows you to enter other worlds. Reading allows you to have conversations that you would normally not otherwise have. Reading allows you to experience a lifestyle that you may never have otherwise experienced. So read something every day, anything, the newspaper, a book, set reading goals. Oh hell no. No, I know you're laughing at this one, but it's true. We've all seen it. Someone in a store, out in public with ashy feet, elbows, and knees. And we think in the back of our heads, did they really leave their house like that? But guess what? They don't care. They may have been on a mission that's critical to them getting a particular item and getting back to their destination. And I have been in that situation before where I had to run out of the house to get something that was well needed by a workman. My feet were covered with cement, I had splashes of paint, but there was no time for me to get prissy to go on the road. They needed their items now. And so I went. And thinking about it, guys, we all go through different stages in life. We're not going to always be perfect. We're not going to always have our nails done, face done, lashes done, hair done. No. There are some times where we just have to present our raw selves. And I've personally learned that too, that in every scenario that presents itself to you, there is a backstory, which leads me to my next life lesson. Reflect on your mistakes, but don't allow them to blight your future. There is no shame in making mistakes. The shame, however, comes about if you learned nothing from them and keep making the same mistakes and still ending up in the same position that you detest and then complain that life is unfair. But when you think about it, you really never did anything to change your outcome. So, with that being said, allow your past mistakes to guide your future actions. Take notes, learn from others, and be willing to share what it is that you have learned with others too. Because in doing that, you become confident in knowing that this works, this doesn't work, and the best way to proceed. As harsh as this may sound, relatives have the same last name as you, but the major difference is that family has the same heart as you do. Everyone I know has been bitten by their relatives at least once in life. However, family takes on a different concept. Family sometimes are persons who started off as complete strangers, then became associates, then became friends, and over time you realize that their interest in your life is genuine, your interest in their life is genuine, and you continue to help and nurture each other. So don't get it twisted, guys. Your relatives are related to you by name. Your relatives are related to you by birth and marriage and other legal associations. But that doesn't mean that they necessarily have your best interest at heart. Believe me, I've been there. So family first. And the final life lesson for this part one of our 22 life lessons for 2022 is that God is real. Now, don't come for me. I know there may be some persons who don't believe in God, but I do, and that's my experience. God is real. And if we think about this planet that we live on and all the processes that go into keeping us alive, we realize that there must be a power that's higher than ourselves. And whilst we are intelligent as human beings, we really mess up. Reconnect with your higher power this year and be amazed at how fulfilling life can be when you focus on giving rather than on receiving. I'll see you again next week, guys. Crises being abated for the next 7 life lessons. Until then, be safe, live, love, laugh.